Over 35 million people are expected to cruise globally here in 2024 as their vacation option. And typically when you think of cruising, you think of time with the family, maybe some time with your significant other, or maybe a boys or girls trip where some good, bad decisions will possibly be made. However, we do have to talk about one cruising option that is rapidly growing in popularity, and that is solo cruising. As someone that has been solo traveling all over the world for over a decade, I wholeheartedly believe that everyone should travel alone at least once in their life for many reasons, especially here in 2024 where people are busier than ever and, let's be honest, more unreliable than ever. You got your friends you decide to go on a vacation with, they bail on the last possible second, and even if they do end up coming on the vacation with you, they may have different goals and missions in mind, and it could inevitably end up ruining your trip. Solo cruising is a good option because it's a controlled environment, it's a no-hassle form of travel, it's a nice step into the solo traveling game. However, there are some things that you should and should not do on board a cruise when you are traveling alone. That's why in today's video I'm going to help you out by giving you 6 tips for solo cruisers. Getting right into it, for number 1, you have to know what you want. This is extremely important because it more or less not only sets up the foundation for this entire video, it sets up the foundation for your trip that you will be planning as a solo cruiser and can potentially make or break your entire vacation. What I mean by this, you have to understand what it is that you're trying to achieve. If you want some me time, that's fine. You want to hang out at the spa, you want to do excursions that your friends were not willing to partake in, that is perfectly fine. If you want to be social, maybe you want to meet some people to potentially bed wrestle with, that's fine too. I'm not here to judge, but you have to know exactly what it is that you want to achieve while you're on your cruise as a solo cruiser. All of this is important to keep in mind before you even start your initial planning for your cruise, as far as what line you're going to sail with, where you're going to go, or what cabin you're going to stay in, because a clear mind is going to give you the best possible chance for an unforgettable experience during your solo cruise. Like I said, let's say if you want to be social. If you don't already have that kind of figured out, believe it or not, people are going to be watching you. People, as humans, we're very curious, and they see somebody cruising alone, they want to know what the situation is. Is that person weird? Are they a serial killer? And if your goal was to be social and meet people, well, you could have potentially ruined that the first day of the cruise, or at the very least made it a little bit harder for yourself to make friends during your cruise. All of that being said, I know a lot of people are going to say that you shouldn't care what other people think, and while that is true, we are social beings. Naturally, to some degree, we are going to care about how we are perceived, especially if we're on a cruise, on vacation, and our goal is to be social. Unless you are going to be a ghost the entire cruise, or either be in your room or in the spa, in the thermal suite, for the entirety of the cruise, and yes, you are to some degree going to care, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You don't have to think too deep into it, but all I'm saying is have some kind of layout or outline of goals as far as what it is that you want to achieve during your cruise. Number 2, picking your cruise and cabin. Obviously, this is a big one, and there are a lot of details that are involved with this. How long do you want your cruise to be? Do you want to go on a cruise to the Caribbean, a standard cruise where you're going to your Cozumels and your Nassau popular ports? Maybe you want to go to the ABC Islands. Maybe you want to cruise over in Europe, going around the Med. Maybe you want to cruise to Alaska. Maybe you even want to go to Antarctica, which I highly recommend. One of the best cruises I've taken so far. After you have narrowed that down, which can take a while and can be a hard decision, you have to decide what cruise line you want to sail with. And as a solo cruiser, you either have all the options available to you or limited depending on what you want to spend and what it is that you want. What I mean by this is that there are some cruise lines out there that offer solo accommodations in which you don't have to pay a supplement fee, aka paying for that extra passenger that is not there. One of the best, I'll tell you right now, is Norwegian. They do have a lot of solo options in which they have something called a solo studio just for solo cruisers. You might be able to meet people in the solo lounge, and they also offer ocean view, balcony. Basically, everything under the sun is available to you with Norwegian Cruise Line. I mean this quite literally because if you're like me, I don't like being stuck in an inside cabin where there's no sunlight. It throws off my sleep schedule. And if you go with any other line as far as a solo option, not only you're going to have to potentially pay a lot more because of double occupancy fee, you're also going to be in a room where you don't have any sunlight whatsoever because you don't have an ocean view or a balcony. I am talking about other lines such as Virgin Voyages and Royal Caribbean as well as MSC. While they do have have some solo options available to you. First of all, they typically do sell out very, very quickly. And what I mean by that is if you haven't booked that solo accommodations anywhere between 9 months to a year in advance, you're probably not going to get it and you're going to be paying that double occupancy fee. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to prop Norwegian Cruise Line up. I just think that they are the best option as of right now for solo cruisers. By the way, shameless plug here, if you do want to book a cruise, especially a solo option, because they are hot on the streets right now, you want to make sure you get one, make sure you check out my travel agent sponsor, Lux Rally Travel, the link of which will be in the description box below as well as pinned in the comments. Number 3, let's talk about getting social. Before you even get on the cruise, there is a way to get in contact with people that are going to be on your cruise by way of social media. Typically, whenever a cruise is going down, somebody somewhere or multiple people have created some type of Facebook group for that specific cruise. There you can be added to the group, and from there you can meet people and already kind of have some form of contacts prior to the cruise even starting, which is definitely going to be a sigh of relief for a lot of people that have the plan or intention of meeting people while on their cruise. Let's say social media is not your bag. You want to go the organic route. That is fine too. Once you're on board, it's very simple. Go where the people are or go where your people are. What I mean by that is, let's say one of the most popular areas on board the Lido or pool deck. As long as you're not sitting off to the side, ignoring everyone, and you're indulging, you're having a drink, you're doing the cha-cha slide, you are, by way of all of that, naturally just going to mingle and meet a bunch of people. If that's not where you want to be, let's say you are somebody that enjoys specialty dining options or bingo. Go hang around those areas and go ahead and get all that set up while you are on your first day or embarkation day of the cruise. You are going to more than likely unintentionally meet a bunch of people over there. If you're a smoker, we all know that if you go over to those areas, whether it be cigar lounge or smoking area, you are naturally going to meet some like-minded individuals, and just like that, you are off to a good start for your solo cruise. Before we move on, let's briefly sail into the nitty-gritty, the hooking up, the bed wrestling, if you will, on board. This is something that even when I'm on board, a lot of people ask me, like, how does this go down? Because I'm a people watcher. I have seen how people interact with one another and what it is that they want with their intentions, if they want to hook up, and how they go about it. First of all, this is primarily going to be for the men because, let's be real, typically the men are the ones that are going to be doing the approaching when it comes to the girls. However, on a cruise, well, anything really goes. But I will say the vast majority of people on board cruises, even though you're going to go on the cruise and you're going to possibly meet somebody that's your goal and there's no track record, you may not ever see them again, you want to not be the person that is known for jumping from person to person like a jelly bean on board the cruise ship. You don't want to do it. So typically people will try to lock down what I call a ship bay early as possible on the cruise. If you are being social at the beginning of the cruise and your intention is to meet a lovely lady or a lovely man, you have to kind of put yourself out there. That way you have somebody for the cruise. There are a lot of people also out there that may play the mysterious route. They don't really want to make it known as far as their intentions. However, those people often end up finding each other, whether it be at any of the dining options, at any of the events going on, or of course there is also the nightclub where, of course, all this stuff can also manifest. It just depends on what you want and realistically how you go about it. But like I said, I'll make a full dedicated video on it at some point. Number 4, let's talk about dining, because I do believe there is a formula to it so that you can have the best possible experience on board during your cruise as a solo cruiser without it being weird. And what I mean by that is people staring at you while you're eating. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, most of us out there don't care what people think, but if I'm eating and I'm just getting stared at left and right and people are whispering here and there because I'm sitting at a table by myself, all on my lonesome, it can be a little weird, and it is tempting to say something. Trust me, I know. The best way to counteract this, if you're going to anywhere other than, let's say, the main dining option, let's say if you're going to the main dining room, you are going to be put with a bunch of strangers. It is possible for you to obviously make friends, and I would encourage it. However, if you're going to, let's say, to get some sushi or the steakhouse, the best possible way to enjoy your meal in peace is to pick the odd hours. I'm not saying you have to do it, but if you want to just be able to relax and chill and not be bothered or stared at, you want to go during the early times and the later evening times. And I'm saying around like 5, a good early dinner is fine, but if you want to eat at 9 p.m., that's also fine. But if you also want to eat meet during the peak times, that's also fine. It just depends on the person. Like I said, for me personally, maybe it's just a preference. I don't like being stared at because I'm sitting by myself and people are wondering if my girl left me for another man on board or something of that nature. You can avoid all that by picking the more or less odd hours on board. Number 5, let's talk about activities. Something that I often see when there are solo cruisers, and myself, I've been caught up in this as well mentally. I tend to look around during the cruise and I see all the families and everybody all booed up, and yeah, there are moments where you just kind of feel lonely or left out and you start to kind of opt out on the activities. I would just say indulge, indulge, indulge. You're on vacation, you're on a cruise, you want to create memories, and by doing these activities, whether it be the surfing simulator or maybe even playing bingo or going to enjoy and indulge in the nightlife, you definitely should. You can meet people, you could just end up having some solo time to yourself, and there's nothing wrong with you enjoying music, enjoying the shows, and everything under the sun by yourself. Number 5 was a short one because it does somewhat spill over to number 6, which is the last point. Please do not be weird if you are cruising solo. I understand there are a lot of people that are proud to say that they're by themselves and they're cruising alone. In my opinion, a lot of those people are kind of projecting as far as how lonely they are, or they just decide that they're going to literally disappear for the entire cruise when, like I said, we are social beings. You can lie to yourself all day that you just want to stay in your room and sleep all day long while all these amazing activities are going on and all these amazing people that could give you the experience of a lifetime or at least aid in your vacation, they're outside. They want to hang out. They want to meet you. Don't be that person that feels like you have to just be so guarded to the point to where you can't be social, because who knows? You can meet your husband, you can meet your wife, or you could meet that ship bae that makes your vacation so magical. So don't avoid it. By the way, do keep in mind, please, for this video, that everything that I stated in this video is extremely subjective. There are a lot of people that have differing opinions and perspectives on their experience, on what it is that they want and what they don't want. I'm just giving you my experience as somebody that takes about 20 cruises per year, and I want to say about 80% of those I'm usually cruising solo, but I'm also a very extroverted person. I'm a very social person, and yes, let's be fair here, I have a pretty big platform on YouTube, so whenever I go on a cruise, because my entire channel is based around cruise ships, people recognize me, which makes it a lot easier to make friends. But don't let that discourage you. If you want to go on a cruise by yourself and you want to go mingle and meet people, you can do it just like I do. It's not really that much of a change in the formula. Just put yourself out there and see what happens. But of course, let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. I will be making more tips videos like this in the coming months. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you do, if you don't, let me know in the comments so I know what to change and to try to figure out. We're still going to be doing the news here as well, and make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate all of you. I love all of you, and I'll see you later. Take it easy.